Hi, everybody. Hello. Welcome to this inaugural Queer LA live event. I am so happy that you're all here. My name is Rebecca Stummy. I'm the producer of live programming and events here at LAist, and I'm just thrilled to get this program up and running and to have you all here for it. And now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to the lead reporter for Queer LA, Caitlin Hernández.
Hello, everyone. Oh my gosh. If we're going to talk about joy, my heart is just feeling joy looking at this room. Thank you so much for being here. I am hoping that we all have a lot of joy and a lot of fun tonight. My name, like Becca said, is Caitlin Hernández, and I'm the lead reporter for Queer LA. And I also cover LA Explained in our newsroom here at LAist. If you don't know what Queer LA is, it is your space to help you get the most out of LGBTQ plus life in greater Los Angeles. This project is from LAist and has a focus on joy because we all can use some more of it. And, you know, honestly, I think we can all look at LGBTQ plus news and see it's a little hard right now, especially in trans communities. So this is our chance to flip the script and have a lot of fun doing it. Tonight, you're in for, I hope, a great treat of 3 performances where we can have and learn from their personal stories of joy and how they navigate self-expression. So I am super excited for it. I hope you are. First off, I would like to welcome Johnny Gentleman to the stage. Johnny Gentleman is a Latinx transmasculine drag king veteran who's working to break boundaries in the name of drag king, non-binary, and BIPOC communities in Los Angeles. He's performed for WeHo Pride and was the first drag king producer to perform and coordinate an all-indigenous lineup for LA Pride 2023. He's the founder of Dapper Puss Entertainment, which just finished a run of brunch shows at Sorry Not Sorry. Please welcome Johnny Gentleman.
No hay tal cosa como no binario, solo elige uno u otro.
No entiendo por qué una chica querría ser trans.
Este peso lo he cargado más por el dolor de ver cómo mueren.
Se me fue el corazón. Ya no tengo ganas de vivir, porque no te puedo convencer que no te vendas, Roxana.
Let's give one more round of applause for Johnny, gentlemen. That was so beautiful. I hope you all are having fun already. There are going to be 2 other performances. So we just had drag. We're also going to have a contemporary dance and some poetry to close out the night. So now I'm going to go ahead and welcome to the stage Joey Navarrete-Medina, who's a queer Mexican-American contemporary dance artist based in Los Angeles. As a first-generation person from a Latina, Catholic, and immigrant working family, Joey's work is deeply inspired by the upbringing as the youngest of 7 siblings. Joey is dedicated to connecting their autistic practice with inclusivity and their personal and collective journey of decolonization and queerness. Please welcome Joey Navarrete-Medina.
You know, there are moments in life when you feel this tension inside you, like the universe is trying to tell you something. It's like a cosmic reaction that you can't ignore, no matter how hard you try. Losing inhibitions doesn't always come easy. It's not like I woke up one day and thought, hey, I'm going to be super confident and own the night. No, it's more like stumbling through self-esteem, wondering if I'm doing it right or if I have to think twice about everything. But you know what? I decided to get a little dramatic, tear up the floor, break some rules. Why? Because I realized that maybe, just maybe, there is no rule book for being me. I mean, who said I had to fit into those predefined shapes anyways? So I embraced the uncomfortable journey of self-discovery. It wasn't all rainbows and unicorns, let me tell you that. But there were moments where I felt like I was losing my mind, and yet finding a part of myself I never knew existed. I've been there before, feeling lost in the dance between who I should be and who I really am. It's like I'm caught between these familiar shadows and an unknown truth that's begging to break free. So, as I often felt this tension in my body, it became clear it was asking something of me. Opening up to my dad about myself felt impossibly terrifying at the time. However, looking back, it was a pivotal moment in my journey of self-discovery. It was a significant step in the ongoing process of redefining my masculinity and finding my place in the world. Just like stumbling through self-esteem and embracing the unknown truth within, that dialogue with my dad challenged me to be a stronger, bolder version of myself. It's a reminder that courage to act boldly, as I practiced that day, is something we all can strive for in our own unique ways. Hit it, Tony.
Loving Father, I'm writing to you in English because it's how I communicate best, and I can express everything I want to say. I'll later transcribe my words into a translator to reach you, as that's how we'd communicate throughout these years. Although I was quiet and well-behaved most times, I'm still sorry if I wasn't the easiest son to raise. What I felt in my heart and mind may not have fit with what you wanted in a son. I think that's why I never talked to you about me, because I was afraid you wouldn't continue to accept me as your son. I wish I had the courage to speak to you about my fears when I was little. Still, I am glad I can openly talk to you now, because as we all know, our time together is limited. Knowing that is true, I want to say thank you, and I love you for being my dad. I hope that one day you feel joy for me and having the courage to be myself fully. I think I get that from you. When I was a little boy, I'd watch you be yourself and do the things you liked, and without hesitation. Your voice was sure and strong, especially at times. You'd play the accordion early on Sunday mornings. Thank you for being the best example of a man to me. I hope you know you did everything right and you did the best to raise your American son. I'm a newer generation to this land, and I hope one day I show you from my success that the discomfort and growing pangs of learning to father a gay son was worth it. Thank you for being my dad. Thank you for growing with me and learning to understand the world around us.
Qué lindo hijo, hijo de mi corazón, que desde niño te vi crecer con amor, igual que tu madre en sus brazos te arrulló. Lindo tesoro, reliquia que Dios nos dio. Eres mi hijo, estudioso y bien formado. Tus decisiones yo las voy a valorar. Eres mi orgullo, siempre te voy a apoyar. Todas tus metas siempre se hagan realidad. Hijo de mi alma, sé feliz y muy contento. Donde yo esté, te llevo en mi pensamiento. Yo te deseo cada día y cada momento. Un hijo bueno con logros y sentimientos. Hoy estás grande y cuánto gusto me da. Un buen alumno, gradas la universidad. Un sacrificio y tus metas lograrás. Te felicitamos, tus hermanos y papá. Hijo de mi alma, sé feliz y muy contento. Donde yo esté, te llevo en mi pensamiento. Yo te deseo cada día y cada momento. Un hijo bueno con logros y sentimientos.
Wow, wow, wow. You know, I've only seen that performance twice now, but every time, and I guarantee you the next time, I'm going to cry with this. So I just hope you all are enjoying this and having a great time. Up next, we have our poetry. I am going to go ahead and welcome Maya Salameh to the stage. Maya is a nationally recognized poet and author of the book How to Make an Algorithm in the Microwave. Her poems imagine queer Arab futurism in the age of mass extinction. Among Maya's many accolades, they're the winner of the Markowitz Award for Exceptional New LGBTQ Writers and the Edel Adnan Poetry Prize. Maya has served as a national student poet, America's highest honor for youth poets, and has performed at the White House, Carnegie Hall, and her mom's kitchen. Please welcome Maya Salameh.
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here and to see all your faces. I have a couple poems for you guys today, and the first one is Aishq. Aishq sunset on Slauson in the aorta of the 5 o'clock rush. Aishq the way your lashes kiss your cheeks. Aishq a yellow dress, the 103 emails my 6th grade crush and I reciprocate. The body is data that precedes time or medicine, and I am fanged and irrational. But I sleep well and honestly, with no jaw pains. Aishq. This next poem is called Most Things Are Disastrous. Most things are disastrous, but today your hair was soft. There was an orange candle on in the shower. The sun was kind, though the wind was impatient. You remembered to wear a jacket, the black denim on it kissed the cream lining. Your best friend wore it as she went out to get you dinner. The noodles were perfect, greasy, not too much carrot grated in your scalp. In bed, reeked of coconut. Your nose was pink, eyes sore with reading. Your soulmate made a joke about being in love, and you laughed. Admitted to something for the first time without shame. Your sister put on eyeliner like the Caspian. Drunk against her corneas, you heard a mother apologize to her daughter over the phone after something unforgivable. You heard the 20-something angel say, "I'm proud of you." Part of the reading this week was canceled because the prof with the inherited PhD didn't understand how PDFs worked, and you pirated Spider-Verse off the website, killing your laptop, and the quality was perfect. You remembered to floss, you ignored a mean thought, defamed a boy who deserved it, refrained from telling someone a secret they didn't deserve, imagined a house with a dining table, a brown sofa. Today you found a picture in your camera roll of you when you were young, with the gangly neck, knew you were beautiful, before all the blessings, the haircut. There is still some of that stir fry in the fridge with the malfunctioning lungs. And. Cognates. The noun under the sink is screaming again, and we couldn't care less, your feet planted shoulder width between my ankles. I ask you what time for lunch, and you smile like a word for the end of August. The stanza of our slacks imprinted on the desk. I told your mother I'd make you salmon, and I did. Of all my prayers, you are my favorite. You promised your palm into my stomach. A month ago, we were sat in the middle of a park, debating our hearts, and it was 3 p.m., and your mouth was in the shape of clouds. It's November now, and your hands leave zinnias on my hips, and we are learning control is the opposite of love. I want to wait on you to get home. Match on Halloween. God and language make grammar in a backseat. The $7 sunflowers you bought me after arguing over using the grocery cart, my name the last piece of silver on my neck. We debate new cities, Montreal, Ann Arbor, Los Angeles, Berlin. We measure our shiny blue passports against our marked bodies. I dissect my Spanish, English, the night-skinned French, our tongues a constellation on the duvet. My country's fables say I am beautiful. It's July and the tile stinks of Lysol. July installed at the airport and my country's fables say I am not endangered and my college major is banned in Florida. I pluck extensively at my ankle, spread my legs, and inspect for practice. It's still July, and we stop for strawberry ice cream, and I laugh like a child who knows what is most delicious to animals. This next piece is called I Want to Be an Uncle When I Grow Up, and it's for my uncle. I miss him very much. We smoke on your balcony and talk about girls, the kitchens we'd hide in to kiss. We joke over tangerine juice and the overpriced sunset, and Palos Verdes is a wide, aromatic dream. Sidewalk hissing with salt, you reheat our favorite paella and set up the pillows on the end of the bed so we have back support. We're always fighting something where our spine meets our femur, and we gossip about the aunties like they still have sons. Your slow breathing, your level voice after dinner, your hand ruffling the top of my head while you laugh. We try figuring out which sugary drink to damn our bellies with. It's Sunday, and we're watching The Office, and I say I like the Sprite the best. It makes me feel like I'm a hummingbird. I got 3 more pieces for y'all. How we feeling? Great. This one is called Me and the Jinn in Your Laptop Had to Talk About You. My mother always wore her dresses with the tags tucked in. I tell the Jinn I loved you like this, scared of even reciting the conditional. In the Marshalls on Grossmont, one came with tulle that circled my waist like calligraphy, and my sister knew to tug it down. I tell the Jinn I cannot stop buying clothes too small for me, that you look at me like holy books. I tell him I wish our time lingered like noon after Mass. Tell the Jinn about memory, languages I'd known and forgotten. Somewhere the forgetting acquires its own smell. The Jinn offers me parsley and vanilla extract to someone your real name, and Mama leaves me voicemails asking where I've disappeared, and her voice is a hymn haunting all the congregation's shirts. I watch you adjust the evening seams in the mirror, and I'm not sure how to explain our sweat or your forearms, so I'd settle for telling the djinn you twine like my first language. The djinn in your laptop has seen my eyes full of furniture for you, the acres of velvet. It bothers me we have so many bones. You wear all 200 as if they are each necessary. I want that certainty. I want to be standing again halfway sighted in your room. This is called How to Solve Cataract for Teddy Pendergrass. I get strong in front of men. Head down and my arms ache with good filament, eyes dorsal, pull, look, stretch. A part of me is made up of every boy I've ever loved. I take aloofness, a spare draw. I walk with torso pointed. Boyhood is a puberty worth eating. Maya. Life is a song worth singing. Teddy. But I'm still 19 and I think cigarettes are glamorous. Ask Marilyn, Halim, the room smears with radio and ink, my lilac notebook with the excited psalm in it. But I'm my father's daughter. I palm my stomach, psalm, vigilance, and beauty. Psalm, on my birthday, I taught her in orange heels, shoulders back. My roommate says, so now you think you're grown. Psalm, on top of my body becoming a woman. I host a lavish boy who needs to eat. Psalm, please ask Haifa where I left my dress. Psalm, in July after being lied to, I hung portraits of my mother and her sisters on my bathroom wall above the pimpled sink. Watched each alone the frame with the glossy backdrop, red, cyan, yellow. All my favorite love songs scare me. Sugar kills more of us than drink. Psalm, from 2 yards away, I could be one of the men I'm supposed to produce. Those are my favorite days. Psalm, and my angry red feet. All right, I have one more piece for you all, and it's called For Every Siren with the Drill, for every beauty worker who's worked with me. And God bless the nail techs, the girls pressing their acrylics to yours or blotting concealer in shared apartments, to whom you admit you find your fingers wide and mannish, the girls who say, yup, Catholic dads, this was exactly how I hid my tank top under the jacket. Thank you, Sets by M. Thank you, Ida from the wax joint on Adams Avenue. Your new man sounds like a much better father than your last, and your skin really does glow when you're in love. Thank you, Arwa, who on occasional Saturdays I can convince to henna me. Bless the coconut oil you prescribe my ink. Bless our shared hymns. Girlhood passed with loving instructions. The roommate who taught me diffusing in the best Bath & Body Works flavor, cherry blossom. You file my thumbs into blades, pull my hair from its follicles. Together we launder my knotted parts. For the next 2 or 3 hours, our mouths are stained with the same longing. Thank you.
Hello. All right, can y'all hear me? Sweet.
Check.
All right, how y'all feeling? First, let's get these emotions out. This is about joy.
Ooh, who wants to go first? I guess me, because I lifted it up. I mean, this is a great opportunity. I was very nervous and excited. I was nearsighted to do this, but the number I did today is a very special number. This is the second time I've done it. I actually revised it specifically for you all, so glad y'all liked it. Yeah, it was. It's always freeing to do this number just because it's a performative expression of me and my struggle to realize that I was trans, based on being a Latinx person, being raised Catholic, military. To be trans was something that was really hard to realize, especially at 26 years old. And there was a lot of back and forth about it, so that's what my number was. And I always love doing it because it reminds me of that dark time and how I conquered over it. So, yeah.
Conquered over, yeah. Well, thank you all for being here. We now get to the amazing and fun Q&A portion and chat. We might have some time to open up some questions from the audience, but if not, you can always catch us afterwards. A couple of things I want to point out that I am just super pumped about. One is that this wasn't planned this way, but everyone on stage is all gender expansive, which I am just pumped for. So let's get a round of applause for that. Hello. We used to be super proud. Yeah, and I'm super pumped. Yeah. So I just want to thank everyone for being here. It's going to be awesome. Let's talk about what you each performed. Can you tell me about your creative process with these pieces and your meaning behind it? Maya, I know that your fifth poem, I Want to Be an Uncle When I Grow Up, when I was reading that, it honestly felt like you just bottled up a beautiful day. Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, to address the first question around my art practice more generally, I think we discussed this briefly before, but I went through a phase in my life where poetry was my therapy. And as Juden Jordan has said, poems are not my life is my life. So I think being able to evolve in that relationship with my own art practice and to allow it to not be the be-all, end-all has actually allowed me to find more joy in it. In reference to that specific poem, that is exactly what it is. We had a really great day and we're completely unproductive. And I think those are my best days.
I love that. Yeah. Let's honor unproductivity as a way of self-care. Yeah. Joey, tell us a little bit about your performance.
Okay, the butterflies are settling. So this iteration of the work, I specifically made it more of a reflection, kind of my process of coming out to my dad. And the impetus of it was basically, it was a school project. It was my capstone project. And it became kind of this more expansive physical theater experience. So kind of two of the sections I kind of adapted for the space. But it was really nice to adjust and shift just so I can have more of chewing time kind of with the work and sitting with my feelings and of coming out not only to my dad, but also having uncomfortable conversations with my family.
I love that. And I think, Joey, one of the things I love about the range of the performances that were up here just now is that we're exploring joy in ways that aren't maybe directly joy. I don't think we always need to necessarily as queer people, put on happiness, but we also experience happiness in a range of ways, as everyone does. Sometimes it's through poetry, sometimes it's through drag, sometimes it's through dance, sometimes it's just by existing, and I love that. I want to go ahead and let's talk about identity. This is Queer LA. Obviously, identity is a central focus today. How would you say, Johnny, that your identities influence your creative work and aid it? I know this is something we've kind of talked a bit about before, so yeah, let's chat.
Yeah, thank you for that question. So when it comes to my creative process, so it's what helped me realize who I truly am, right? I identify as a trans masc, non-binary person. I believe I'm a feminine soul and a masculine soul in one body. And when I first went into drag, it was just to try it out. And, I had 3 of my best friends who are makeup artists for film and television just do stuff on my face. I didn't know what was happening. I never wore makeup. And the moment that they just said, here, look at your face. And they only did half of my face, but I couldn't take my eyes off of me. And it was the first time since puberty, honestly, that I was able to actually look at myself and be happy with it. Because I ignored mirrors for years. Since 12 years old to 5 years ago, I couldn't look at a mirror for longer. I couldn't look at myself for longer than a minute. And that was the first time I was able to look at myself and I saw myself. And I think it was purposely that I was able to see a masculine side and then just me, where it was embracing this masculinization of myself but also knowing that I am a feminine person, it's just reversed. Where I feel like myself being masculine on the outside, presenting masculine on the outside, and embracing my femininity within me. You know, I love me some Sex in the City, you know, some Real Housewives. I annoy my spouse with, 90 Day Fiance all the time. But, like for myself, drag, and every time I do drag, it's just my own form of therapy and a step to pushing myself and my gender to, especially being a drag king, you're always being objectified as like you're a papi chulo, right? Because I'm Latin, whatever. Being papi chulo, being charming, being sexy, Magic Mike-ish, whatever. But that's not what it is. It's just like drag queens. We express ourselves through our drag. We redefine masculinity through our artistry. And that's what I try to do, where I try to challenge and redefine masculinity through my drag and understand that masculine people can also be feminine. And so with drag and my whole artistic process, that's what I always try to incorporate in my drag, is to recognize that fluidity doesn't have to define by a gender. Fluidity just can be who you are.
Yeah. Amen to that. Joey, Maya, how do you think that your identities aid your creative work?
So for me, building my own work is fairly new. In the past, I would do more kind of building with someone else and as a form of collaboration, which is great for generating ideas. Something my partner said to me that really stuck, and it's super true, is that I think I create work to be understood or to kind of process things. And so for me, I love what Johnny was saying, is that growing up and presenting as mostly masculine, right? There's this kind of femininity inside, kind of I'm wrestling with, like, do I go along with it? Do I resist it? And probably within the last 8 years, I finally started to sit more and more. So I'm still in the process of kind of sitting with it. But I think a lot of those layers do come into my work, just because I'm able to source from inside, because it's so busy outside, right? There's so many things that you can do. So I know that for me, that's been, I guess, a blessing.
Yeah. Thank you. Some claps for that.
Yeah, for me, I would say, at the risk of sounding essentialist, I descended from a culture with a long oral storytelling tradition. I'm specifically thinking about the tradition of Zajal and Damaskini cafes, where people just hang out and freestyle lines of poetry back and forth, which sounds amazing and really fun. But, right? I want to hang out there. But when I think about, how my identities also impact my daily art practice, I think a lot about developing language for myself that just doesn't exist or hasn't existed before. I'm especially indebted to the thinking and thought of Black queer feminist writers, as well as queer Arab feminist writers in the Arab homelands. Thinking about my own positionalities as an Arab American queer woman and bridging so many different locations, I think a lot about being able to add to the archive. And the archive is fragmented, half destroyed, half lost, half forgotten. So a large part of that creation as a queer Arab American woman is helping to add to the archive and also pulling things out of the archive. Whether that means when I was in middle school, I would type in Arab American woman poets. You have to fashion your own intellectual education when you're looking for things that aren't in the mainstream. So yeah, I feel very lucky to be working within the legacy of thinkers like Bell Hooks, Salma Sharif, Hala Ilyan, and so many others.
Love that. Now, obviously, we're here talking about queer joy, and as we talked about, there's many ways to experience queer joy. But I'm curious, what is it about being in your craft that brings you joy? Joey, I think we'll go to you. I know for your dad's song, that was it's so beautiful, by the way. You told me a lot about how that brought you a lot of joy to experience and listen to it. Your dad's response.
Yeah, I think my dad is a bit like he's stoic, but also kind of like Yoda, where whenever he says something, it's kind of backwards or like, oh gosh, so it's mysterious. And so for me to, I guess, get this like emotional response from him, kind of after seeing this like very hard exterior, that was one of the first times where I kind of saw him be a little bit more emotional. Which again, it reminds me of like, okay, like that's okay. It's totally okay to show that. And I think talking about like my craft is that in dance, like I guess that's where I feel most comfortable, right? Kind of moving and expressing, using my body. And so I guess morphing the two, it made sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
Johnny, what do you think?
Ooh, this is a good question. I know for myself, the most joy I have, queer joy I get, is seeing queer people of color all around me. I love performing for people of color because, growing up, I didn't see a lot of Latin people or BIPOC people on television or around my block. I was raised in Chino, which the bad side of Chino. That homie's like, I know about
someone's
Chino.
from Chino up here.
Someone's from Chino. Yes, Chino. 5th Street, Riverside. Ew. Yeah. See, even they said Chino. Yeah, that's where I was raised up. But I was raised in a society where it was majority Mexican. I'm Central American. I'm half Guatemalan, half Nicaraguan, and I was the outsider, right? Like I would get made fun of for my accent when I learned Spanish when I was 16, and I never really saw queer people. I didn't see them, and if it was the special daughter right there. You don't talk to her though, and es como así, and right, like, but they were totally fine with the gay cousin, male cousin, but. I didn't really grow up with that. I didn't really know what queerness was until I met my tia Erika, who's a queer woman in Nicaragua. And she's actually, she was an ambassador for Nicaragua for a while. Yeah, I know. And she was just, for me, she was just so normal, right? And she was like a bad butt. She was a hustler. There you go. I looked up to her so much that when I realized I was queer, I wanted to see more people like me and like that. And so I try my best to use my platform to highlight trans and NB performers, BIPOC entertainers, primarily drag kings and non-binary artists. And because, we're here, we're talented, and also we deserve the same equality in our drag community and in general. As queer people, we should be of every shade, of every orientation, of every gender, no matter the circumstances. So whenever I see like a diverse rainbow of colors in a crowd and I'm performing for that, I'm like, today's a good day. Because all of you are here. We're all one community in one space, and we're going to rock this out.
Yes.
So That's where my queer joy goes.
I love that. I love that so much. Thank you. Maya, what about you?
The question was,
how do you experience queer joy in your work?
I really like playing. I'm a huge form experimenter. Growing up, I usually did not enjoy most of my science classes, which doesn't actually show in my work because I really enjoy playing with forms of code or Punnett squares, and I think it brings me a lot of satisfaction and also enjoyment to blow up a scientific form or something that's established as a structure that people have to follow. I don't like following instructions. Another thing I really enjoy is bad TV. Sometimes I enjoy psychoanalyzing Desperate Housewives. I've been watching a lot of that. But yeah, I think in my work, allowing myself to try new things. I'm a Virgo, so if I realize I'm good at something, I'll notice that I'm writing the same type of poem over and over because I want it to be good. So also trying to divorce the tyranny of perfect and good and just being I'm actually just here having fun. No one's grading me. I'm not in trouble. So being able to allow myself to play and experiment and feel like the fourth grader who is just trying stuff, Yeah.
I love that. Thank you. I think we're getting close to time, but I want to ask you all a question that I think is pretty important. As we've talked, obviously, just by the three of you on this stage, there is a pretty wide range of different arts and expression here. And I think it's great. And there's obviously so much more beyond here that we can get into of music and everything. You should come to our next events where we talk about that. But I do want to ask, how do you hope to make your respective crafts or your field, so to speak, better by the work that you do? And anyone can go ahead. Jump in. It's heavy question time.
I have thoughts. Growing up, I grew up in San Diego in a majority immigrant community. My community is primarily Latinx. We basically live in Mexico and San Diego, if everyone's been there. I live it there. But one thing that I always noticed was, especially growing up, the idea that poetry is like a Shakespeare, a white man thing to do, and that it looked a certain way and it only came in sonnets. And then, again, don't enjoy being told what to do. In high school and especially in middle school as well, I started writing stories. I've always been writing. And the stories got shorter. They turned into what could be deemed passably poems. But one of the things that I often noticed as I started getting involved in arts organizing and leading poetry workshops in high school, college, and beyond was that people entered workshops and entered poetry spaces with a feeling of inadequacy, a feeling of not being educated enough, not having an art license or a poet's license. And I think one of the biggest aims of my work and the biggest aims of my community engagements in arts communities is there's no license. There's no MFA, degree, qualification, accolade, or award that you have to make things. Exactly. Eurocentric definitions of artistic legitimacy, goodness, I could go on, but
go off.
But yeah, I think one of the biggest contributions I hope to make, especially in the field of poetry, is to demystify the fact that writing poetry has to involve. I never had access to theater lessons, and the thing is, one thing I love about poetry is how democratic of a medium it is. You don't need to be driven to theater camp. You don't have to take voice lessons. You don't have to buy a fancy guitar. All you need is a notebook and a pen. So I also think it's one of the most democratic mediums. But again, I'm a poetry nationalist, as you can tell. But yeah, I think one of the biggest contributions I hope to make is to add to the archive of queer era women writing themselves into existence and out of erasure, and also to help people know that poetry is for everyone. You can start anytime.
Yes, love that. Joey, Johnny, what do you think? How do you want to change things?
Oh man, okay. I agree completely about the these I guess academic spaces being primarily white. Something that did kind of hit me was that I am indebted to my education because it did teach me structure, which I think for me, I lacked growing up, and I'm undoing a lot of kind of the following the rules, which right can like messes some things up. But again, I think having that as a skill to use, and so I think for me is to gracefully undo kind of the set narratives, right? Because yeah, I don't know, like I'm not much of a trouble stirrer. You can ask my brother who's here. I'm a little bit more of a rule follower. But I think similarly, adding to the archive of queer Latine work, I guess figuring out kind of my voice and how I'm able to do this without ruffling too many feathers. Which you totally can. You can totally just mess it up. Feather up the chicken. Feather up, something. But it's just, there you go. It's not my style. So I think continuing as I undo and create. I'm repeating myself. That's it. Period.
Period. Love that. I am also a feather ruffler, so I'm with you. Johnny, how do you want to change things in drag?
Oh God, I feel like I'm a in between of these two right now. Well, I never thought I would be a drag performer if you asked me when I was 8 years old. But I saw the signs, honestly. I've always been a person that I've always been an underdog for people, I feel, like all my life. I had an abusive father that told me, like, that you're these horrible things and and I had teachers telling me I wasn't gonna amount to anything and I was gonna be a traditional Latinx person who was gonna pop out babies. Like, the expectation of stereotypes was very much instilled in me. And my personality has always just been like, all right, like my Leoness is just like, ooh, all right, I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna do it. Like, so that drive has always been a part of me. And when I started to do drag, I saw just a lack of awareness of drag kings and a lack of awareness in BIPOC and like entertainers in general. And for myself, I always think, and this has been pre-drag too, I want a better world for my nephews and my kids, and for the people that grew up in my hood in Chino. I always want a kid from Chino, if they go on Instagram, they see me, and if they're secretly queer, and be like, oh my God, they did it. And because I want the next generation to have what I didn't have. And I want it to be a more open and diverse world where it's about artistry, it's about creativity. It's not about your skin or where you come from or anything of that. It's about your heart and your creative outlet and having a passion for that, and that be your judge of person. And so I hope, and I am always determined to challenge communities that don't know about drag kings or don't know about non-binary artists or anything like that, because it's not to be aggressive about it. It's just to be like, hey, we're here. And that so far has been a really nice conversation I get to have with a lot of producers that are queens and be like, oh my God, I didn't know about drag kings. I didn't know about non-binary. I didn't know about this. And I love having those conversations to where we can establish an education exchange, but at the same time, establish a community together in a united front as drag performers, because I don't believe there should be any kind of segregation. I believe that we need to have a unity in order to keep our community alive. I mean, that's what happened throughout drag history. Yeah. We had Stormy and we had Marsha B. Johnson together. one punched a cop and the other one threw a brick, you know? And that's how I believe the drag community should be, and I want that for the next generation of drag babies to come. So, yeah, come on over.
I love that. I love that. You know, I will say if I had to bet on anyone who would change things in their fields, it would be you three, just because of your heart and your passion for what you're doing. So definitely a round of applause for that. For those of you who don't know, this event really stemmed from a story that I did during Pride Month earlier this year, where we asked people to, in a survey, pretty much to send in their own stories of joy. And Johnny and Joey filled it out, and then Maya was a happy connection that we made recently. But it just goes to show that there are people out there who are hungry to make change and have fun and experience joy in a range that is, you know, kind of like a lasting hope. And I think by just existing and being in your fields and being creative, you are carving your space, you're putting that seat at the table. And you know, building your own table, even at that. So I think what you're doing is awesome, and I'm just so happy for y'all.
Thank you, Caitlin.
Thank you, Caitlin. Thank you all. We are at time. Thank you all so much for coming here today. I didn't get to mention this sooner, and I should have. We are sold out tonight. For our first event, I am pumped for. And this is my special plug to be like, we have our next Queer LA events. The next one will be on wellness and joy for Queer LA on November 30th. And then we also have one about music, joyful music, on January 25th. So I know a lot of people maybe don't think that far ahead. I don't, but take out your calendar, put a little dot in there. Please come. We'd love to have you, and continue to follow us. We have our stories up on las.com/queerla, regularly updated. And feel free to bug me. If there's something you want to see written about or anything, come tell me about it. Email me. I'm always around. Please feel free to go outside and enjoy some DJ and some really awesome Bridgetown roti. We also have some books being sold outside, so please feel free to enjoy. And you're welcome to come up and chat with us as well. Thank you.
Can I say something real quick? My book is being sold outside.
Yes!
If you want it to be
I didn't know if we got that to work.
I can sign it.
Yes, please go check out how to make an algorithm in a microwave. Thank you all.